this is Ed from Musica Lessons, and today we're going to look at Stay With Me. It's a Sam Smith tune from his debut album, In the Lonely Hour. The tune also bears a resemblance to Tom Petty's Free Fallin', and as a result, Tom Petty and Jeff Lynne got songwriter credits. Alright, so I encourage you to check out the post that this video lesson is a part of, because there's also some cool links on there for the YouTube video, tabs, although I also provide a chord chart for you, and there's some playing tips. So grab your guitar and we'll take a look at this tune. Stay With Me is a great song for beginners. We're going to be using some fingerstyle techniques and some fingerstyle strumming techniques to play this tune. It's a pretty straightforward tune. It's a 2-bar chord cycle with some variations, and we'll take a look at those. And also it follows the AV song form, just a verse-chorus song form, so it's a fairly simple straight-ahead song form. Also, we're going to take a look at the chords that are needed for this tune, so I'll see you back here in a second. Okay, we're going to take a look at the chords that you're going to need to play Stay With Me. It's in the key of A minor, and we're using all first position chords. Okay, so we're going to begin with an A minor chord. It's your garden variety A minor chord. Okay, my first finger's on the second string first fret, my second finger's on the fourth string second fret, and my third finger's on the third string second fret. My fifth and first strings are open. The second chord is an F chord. The F chord, now you can play the F bar chord, okay, but I actually like this version, which is more of an acoustic guitar version, where my first finger is going to stay on the second string first fret, my second finger is going to play the third string second fret, my third finger is going to play the fourth string third fret. My thumb is going to come over and play the bass note on that chord. So it makes it an easy transition from the A minor to the F. Then I keep this position and I take my second and third fingers and I use the lock knuckle technique to switch to the fifth and fourth strings for the C chord. So here I'm coming from the F to the C. Now there's a couple of variations that he does in the chord progression where he does 2 beats of A minor, 2 beats of F, and then 4 beats of C. But on some of the variations, instead of doing the 4 beats of C, he does only 2 beats of C, and then he'll do 2 beats of a G sus chord. I actually prefer playing just a straight G chord for that. And then in the chorus, he does 2 beats of C, followed by the 2 beats of an E7, which I like to fret this way, with my first finger on the third string first fret, my second finger on the fifth string second fret, and I like putting my pinky on the second string third fret. Okay, so come back in a second and we'll take a look at the verse. The intro for Stay With Me is 4 bars. It's a 2-bar progression that's repeated. It's 2 beats of A minor, 2 beats of F for the first bar, and then 4 beats of C. So it sounds like this. And then it goes straight into the verse. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm using this fingerstyle technique where I'm assigning my fingers to the strings. So my thumb is going to play. For this tune, my thumb stays pretty true to the 5th and the 6th string for the bass notes. My index, middle, and ring fingers are assigned to the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings for this cycle. The rhythm has a resemblance to a Charleston rhythm, which is used in jazz, and it's outlined in detail in the article, so you can take a look at that. The other thing that I like to do is I separate my thumb and fingers to do a strumming pattern. Now for variation, what I'll do is I'll arpeggiate the chord, and what that means is I'll play my index, middle, and ring fingers one at a time. All right, so work on that, and I'll see you back here in a second. The verse for Stay With Me is very similar to the intro. So if you still need to review that, check out the intro lesson, the intro segment of this lesson. The only difference that I'm doing here is I'm using that arpeggiated technique just to create a little bit of a different texture between the intro and the verse. So it adds a little bit of color, a little bit more motion in there. The only other difference that you're going to have is the third time that the cycle repeats in the chord is when we add the G chord. And what that'll do is that'll signal that we're going to wrap up for the last line of the verse. Okay, so just review that, and I'll see you back here in a second. For the chorus of Stay With Me, we have the same chord cycle with a couple of variations. Okay, so the first part, there's 4 progressions basically. The first progression would be A minor, F and C like we did in the intro and the verse. We also have the A minor, F, C, G variation for the second progression. The third variation has the E instead of the G. And we close with the first variation, the A minor, F to C. Now my accompaniment technique that I'm using here is I'm using a fingerstyle strumming. I'm brushing with my fingers. Now sometimes what I'll do is I'll use my index and middle fingers and I'll just brush the strings. So I'm brushing up and down with my fingers, with my index and middle fingers. I'm using them as kind of the way that you would use a pick. I also use this pulsing technique to mute the strum so that I get a little bit more of a percussive feel. What it does is it changes the texture from intro to verse to chorus. When I go back to the verse, I'm going to go back to the finger plucking technique. And you can hear the changes in texture there. I hope you enjoyed learning Stay With Me. And if you haven't checked out any gospel music, I suggest that you should. I encourage you to check out, especially the new artists today have some great guitar players. So if you're a frethead like me, check out some of the newer bands. It's also nice to see where today's artists are getting their inspiration from. So check out some gospel music. All right, thanks for hanging with me. I'll see you here next time.